Rose Squad Reviews. I'm Melanie.
Hi. I never post because I can't edit to save my life.
Okay. It's like a long-running joke. No one knows this, but you have like
It's a long running joke between us.
You have like 2 posts that you've been trying to edit for like 2 years.
Oh my goodness.
Not a lie. It's fine. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that today. We have a mostly unscripted, there's a small note card, discussion about sub versus dub, and maybe we hope to bring up some things that you hadn't considered before.
And to get something out of the way, one is not better than the other. If you think you're more of a fan or a real whatever, just because you're watching a sub, no, that's not how any of this works.
We're all equal fans here, guys.
No.
Subs don't make you cooler, even though I prefer subs as a general more, and okay.
And I like dubs.
Yeah, but we like both see aspects of the other that like
are fantastic.
Yeah, it's great.
Either way, you don't really lose because you're watching anime. I mean,
yeah.
So, one kind of myth I want to get out of the way is that dubs are way off from the original translation. So anytime you translate, you're stuck between a word-for-word translation and translating the meaning into the vernacular of whatever language you're translating to.
And also like to fit mouth shapes sometimes.
And dubs try and translate into the vernacular, whereas subs is more of a literal translation. So you can argue that stuff is lost, but not really. A lot of times they put in like references that an American or English-speaking audience is going to get, and replacing a reference that pretty much only Japanese-speaking audience is going to get.
Yeah.
I mean, it obviously varies from translator to translator and how the voice cast carries out the translation that they got, but some of them are really good, and unfortunately some of them are just not.
So there's really good dubs, there's really great dubs. There's dubs that are okay, and then there are dubs that are just
terrible.
Shouldn't be talked about.
They don't exist. Dubbed anime, obviously you have a lot less reading, so an especially dialogue heavy anime, like I'm talking Death Note, of like every possible second is filled with dialogue. It's a lot easier to just watch it in English because they're going to explain those references in Japanese you're not going to get. They're not worried about matching mouths as much because there's not as much of that in the series. It's versus a show like Naruto where it's a very literal dub, it's a very basic level Japanese to start with. It's kind of like potato, sub, dub, whatever. One of the things that irritates me and a lot of people in dubs is that they can't decide on a pronunciation for a character's name. Now, a lot of shows will Americanize the name. A really good example of this is My Hero Academia, where all of the names are pronounced the same, but they're more Americanized than Japanese. Well, it's still the same name, it's just said a little bit differently, and especially the names in English, like President Mike, or All Might himself, is very much English. We're not trying to translate a name by accent and stuff like that. But some shows just can't decide, do we want to do the Japanese pronunciation, do we want to do the American pronunciation? And so they just leave it up to the voice actors, and sometimes it's pronounced one way, and sometimes it's pronounced another, and sometimes they're pronounced so differently that it's hard to tell who they're talking about.
Yeah. So
that's really frustrating. That's more of like a studio issue than a dub issue per se, but...
I mean, some people really don't like subtitles, like, outside of, like, the whole sub-dub argument. Some people are just like, subtitles, no. But, I mean, I enjoy subtitles, like, when I'm watching just a regular movie, I'd be like, yes, we're doing subtitles, because they tell me what people are saying. They're very handy. And I don't mind reading them, and I think it's also fun to kind of, like, listen to the original audio, and you get that, I don't know, just, there's something special about it. I think, and then you can like pick up little Japanese phrases along the way, so that's a good time. I wouldn't consider myself fluent at all, but I can kind of, I have like a small, limited vocabulary that I do kind of know. I'm like, oh, I knew that. They didn't have to translate that. I got that.
One thing too that's cool about the subs is if you know enough, you can tell when they're speaking at different levels of politeness.
Yeah.
Like, so sometimes, especially the reactions of characters of people either talking too familiar or too formal make a lot more sense. So that's something really cool. I mean, the downside is like formal Japanese is a nightmare. I don't understand it most of the time, but it's very fun.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. There was a situation where I was like watching something, and I mean, with subs, obviously they're translating from like Japanese to English or like whatever language that you're speaking. And it's not necessarily from Japanese, but just kind of one language to another. And sometimes there's not always like literal translations, and they can always like put in like cultural context that somebody would know as like just a native speaker. Like I think it was like in Japanese, they have like different pronouns for like, I mean, some of it's formality, but some of it's like personal pronouns. And so if you really, really don't like somebody, there's like some ways that you can like talk to them that like showcase that very clearly.
And then like boko versus ore.
Yeah.
It can change your perspective on a character a lot versus even watashi.
Yeah.
Used sometimes.
And so it was like an occasion where like they used one over the other, and like in the English they had like translated it to just like you or something, but I was like, oh, I know what that means. I know what they're trying to say here.
Yeah. So if you know the cultural and language clues, it's super fun. But if you don't know them, there's not any specific reason the sub would be intrinsically better than the dub.
But it's just fun.
If you know it, it's fun to catch it.
Yeah. There is like some confusion when like multiple people are talking, because you have like different lines of like subtitles like stacked onto each other, and then sometimes there's like background noise that they're also translating for you, and you're like, okay, what am I supposed to be paying attention to? Kind of like the sign thing, where you're just like, I need to pause and go back and like read this, and then go on. It's not as natural, obviously, because it's not speaking in your natural language. And then there's like the dynamic of sometimes shows only are available in the sub, so if you like want to watch them, like if it's a new show that's come out, or I guess an old one,
never
got
dubs. Some have bad dubs.
Yeah. You only have one option here.
Okay, so if you have ever pirated anime, you know.
Not looking at the camera right now.
Not that I've ever done it. I didn't actually know what it was. There's this little thing called fan subs, and they're kind of infamous for sometimes being the worst things ever, where it's like, did you just throw those into Google Translate? Because it looks like that's what happened, and a lot of times those are way, way, way off. And you'd be so much better just doing the dub or waiting till an official translation comes out. Don't get me wrong, sometimes they're nice because they'll explain cultural stuff. I mean, they'll take up the whole screen with words, you have to pause it and read all that, but
yeah.
Fan subs are interesting.
Yeah.
Not always fantastic.
Nope.
But definitely revolutionized the subtitle game. I think so.
Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed this discussion about like subs and dubs. Real quick, fast thing here. I'm hoping that my mic on my camera isn't good enough to pick up my mom's cooking dinner upstairs. So there's like some banging. If that's what's going on, just let you know, no one's getting like bumped on the head or yeah, that would be bad.